You're about to listen to a short clip from a previous conversation. For the full episode, go to our podcast channel.
But I think this is also, in some ways, missing in some of the restoration work that's happening, where we say, let's go and restore oysters 50 kilometers off into the North Sea around the base of a wind farm. And certainly, great, we should be putting oysters everywhere. I'm not trying to undermine that at all. And not to be mean, but your average, dog walker on a beach does not care about oysters on the bottom of a wind farm. There's no sort of interpretation or experience for the people that you're trying to rebuild nature for. And so I think we should be looking at this interaction between humans and nature, because if we want to move towards this transition to a regenerative ecology, then people need to come with it. It can't just be an isolated job for scientists and marine engineers somewhere far off into the North Sea.
That's what your dream is.
Yeah, there's some pictures on our website of what these reefs and coastlines used to look like. And I would love to see something like that again in some places. I think that would be tremendous.
Well, and there's, of course, besides the benefits of filtering the water, there is also the benefit then of increasing biodiversity. And then this picture that you so wonderfully shared now with all the new species that then will enter, but then also it makes the coastlines much stronger again, which is important, especially for a country of like the Netherlands, I suppose. But then there's also this societal addition, I think, that you want to do with Oyster Heaven, which is you're including the local fishermen. That is one part of it. And how else do you feel this is continuing in society if we look at, for example, food supply or, I don't know, other vital industries or housing? What's the bigger effect of what you're doing with the Oyster Heaven?
Yeah. So, and I think this kind of comes into the business model for us, which is, we've been speaking a lot about all these wonderful things that oysters are doing for nature, and, society. What we try and do, it's nice not to talk about this in the abstract anymore, is we find organizations that have weaknesses in their operations or a dependency on the health of coastlines or estuaries. And we try and show how oysters can resolve some of that weakness. We can add resilience to their business. So, for example, if you're a port, you're probably one of your single biggest operating costs is dredging, like clearing the shipping channels from sediment. So what we would try and develop is a system where you could use a combination of oysters and great infrastructure to reduce the amount of sedimentation in your port, in your shipping channels.
Okay.
So thereby reducing your operational costs. So if you need to go in once every 3 years instead of once every year, like what is the benefit to the bottom line? How much have we reduced your costs? We're not going to organizations saying, hey, can you pay us from your CSR or your marketing budget? But we want to be treated as an investment into the sort of core capabilities.
Right.
Another example would be, you're a water utility and you've got a responsibility to keep water clean, to keep your coastline clean, to keep the bathing water quality good. And there are lots of things that you should be doing, better scrubbers, riparian buffers, all sorts of things.
I don't know what these are.
Sewage treatment plants or using wetlands to
filter.
Filter. And how can you layer in oysters into this system to reduce your costs? So getting water clean at the remaining 20% or the final 10% is really expensive and hard. So how can you use oysters to clean that final 10% of water? So we never speak at all about
the benefits necessarily for nature. You speak more about we can actually enhance your business and be a cheaper resource or be a more sustainable business choice.
Yeah. We want to, the profits of a business. And that's a way that you can have a much more interesting conversation. And then also, if you've used the oysters to improve the water quality as a water utility, you're also improving biodiversity and coastal stability and all these other things. And then you can say, okay, there are all these secondary benefits, which maybe is nice for storylines or marketing. But the central pitch is let's make your bottom line better.
So this is your ideal client. This is a client that is looking to improve their business or their costs maybe, but they are depending on water or coastlines.
For example, or, you look at a supermarket and they sell fish, and you say, okay, they're sourcing lots of fish from the North Sea. How much would you pay to avoid like the maybe not being able to sell cod in 10 years or not being able to sell products from the North Sea? Like, what would you play to improve your supply chain resilience? And this isn't so far away from things that businesses are doing. You can look at organizations spending tens of millions of euros on investing in coffee supply chain in Latin America because it says, okay, we need to do more sustainable, regenerative coffee sourcing because we need to sell coffee. We need to continue to sell coffee at a high quality at a reasonable price. And then you can look at the fish supply chain in the same way. It's like, okay, what do we need to do to invest in our supply chains to ensure that we can sell high quality fish at a reasonable price to our customers?
So when you have this side of your business with clients, is this then what you gain from that in terms of your let's call it profits? Is this also something that you then proactively invest in finding places to place mother reefs for other reasons, or how do you work?
We have to be demand driven. So organization will come to us and say, hey, we've heard you're doing some weird things with oysters. We've got this problem. Maybe you can have a look, and we'll explore what the possibilities are. And we're very focused on Northern Europe, particularly, but also exploring, East Coast of the US. No one at the moment, unfortunately, is so a crazy profit or something at the moment that's going to be distributed as dividends to anyone. So all of our money is going back into improving R&D, our products. We're building mobile nurseries, looking at software, digital twins, so that we can model better the outcomes of reefs. But I think the dream is eventually we create this kit, which will include the mother reefs, your mobile nurseries, your software to help you decide where to put your reef in. And this can be given or donated to places that maybe can't afford the same sort of rates as Northern European clients. Yeah. But you could go to, somewhere else and you need brick factory, fishing boats and oysters. And then you've got your own restoration project. And I would love it if we can subsidize that. With
your clients. Yeah, exactly. So the mother reefs that you have placed now, it's throughout Europe, or is it also outside of Europe?
We're present in 6 countries, in the US, in Denmark. Yeah, there are 3 locations in the US, so Long Island, Chesapeake Bay, and Florida. Then in Republic of Ireland, in England, Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark. Is that all of them? I think that's 6. Yeah.
And these are the reefs that exist now. They're all linked to clients of yours.
These include all of our pilots. So we've got, I think, 15 to 20 pilots in these 6 countries. And then our first 4 commercial projects, so the ones with clients, are in Netherlands, Belgium, and England.
Okay, I see. Got it.
So projects in the millions of oysters rather than projects in the tens of thousands of oysters.
What is your dream place to place a mother reef?
People keep on. I worry about mission drift and trying to spread ourselves too thin or go to places where it's going to be really hard to do business generally. But we frequently get asked oh, George, there's this beautiful place in Vietnam where they want to build a port, or there's this lovely Greek island that then they want to do some, coastal resilience for a hotel. And there are definitely places which are a bit warmer than the North Sea, where I would love to go and spend a summer, probably doing less boss stuff and more project management stuff.
This also sounds like lazy student George is coming up again. It's like, I'd rather sit in the sand with the sun on my face than put on my rain boots and go to the beach.
Yeah, lazy. I've been told not to. I always used to say this was laziness, and then someone else says, no, this is just being effective. Small amounts of energy for big results.
It is.
This is maybe a better way to talk about it. A way that my mum and dad would probably approve of.
Yeah, exactly.
You are listening to a short clip from a previous conversation. For the full episode, go to our podcast channel.
Thank you for listening to The Art of Coexistence, a podcast produced by Ourcelium Publishers. Editing by Axel Frühmann, music by Mark Omen, and hosted by me, Daphne Frühmann. Find us on your favorite podcast app and give us a follow, like, subscribe, and/or share, and we'll see you again soon.